Come, let us recite from the Tao Te Ching and then savor effortless meditation. The Tao does not take sides. It gives birth to both good and evil. The sage does not take sides. She welcomes both saints and sinners. The Tao is like a bellows. It is empty yet infinitely capable. The more you use it, the more it produces. The more you talk of it, the less you understand. Hold on to the center. In momentum. I must use the space heater to bake my tochas. That sounds like the side B to a forgotten single. So let's take a deeper dive into this concise chapter of the Tao Te Ching. The Tao does not take sides. It gives birth to both good and evil. The Tao is not a sentient entity. It is just a tool. It's a method. It's a method of moving not from calculated contrivance or wild scatteredness, but a spontaneity that is centered in peace and love. We can use this tool to do anything we want. If we are a serial killer, we can be a more serene serial killer. If we are a pathological liar, we can be a more serene pathological liar. But I gotta warn you, if you persist in the methods of mindfulness and meditation, it'll become more and more difficult to act against compassion and act with impulses. The three treasures of the Tao are simplicity, patience, and compassion. These aren't trappings that we put on like a coat, like a disguise. Au contraire. The more we cooperate with our autonomic nervous system, the more we cannot help but be peaceful and loving. The sage does not take sides. She welcomes both saints and sinners. So let's talk about remedial non-duality. Remedial non-duality is not the inability to tell the difference between dog dew and chocolate. There's a significant difference. It's having the same remedy to all that we encounter. What is that remedy? Watch and rest. Notice and relax. That's it. Regardless of that which we notice is external or internal, physical or mental, pleasurable or painful, interesting or boring, glorious or grotesque. So we typically think of good stuff, in terms of the four bases of mindfulness, being things like safety, pleasure, praise, and fame. And we think of bad things like peril, pain, scorn, and shame. But here's the trick. Here's the wild thing. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever peril or safety we noticed during our previous inhalation feels as if it was melting into the simplicity of just the circumstantial. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever pleasure or pain we noticed during our previous inhalation could feel as if it was melting into the simplicity of just the physical. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever scorn or praise we might have noticed during our previous inhalation could feel fleetingly, momentarily, as if they were melting into the simplicity of just the interpersonal. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever shame or fame we might have noticed during our previous inhalation could feel as if they were melting into the simplicity of just the mental. The Tao is like a bellows. It is empty yet infinitely capable. Sturgeon's law reminds us that 90% of everything sucks, including humans, including meditation teachers. What could that suckiness look like? Most of us were raised in cultures and environments that trained us to be rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel. But as we grew in sentience and intelligence and in love, most of us wanted to be different. We wanted to be flexible, loving. I'm getting ahead of myself. So those who are rigid have difficulty perceiving figures of speech. And they confuse the idea of emptiness with nihilism or nihilism. I have trouble pronouncing that word. And they'll say, how can I be empty if I exist? And that's because they did not have the good fortune to receive instructions to let them know that emptiness is just a figure of speech. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever body we notice during our previous inhalation could fleetingly feel as non-graspable as a vast open void. Now you could say, well, what's a real-world example of that? Sure. Set out a picnic blanket on your grass on a Saturday morning, lie on your back, look at the sky. Reach forward towards the sky, splay your fingers, grasp as tight as you can, pull the hand to your face, and look at it. Do you see sky in your hand? Therefore, literally, from our vantage point on Earth, the sky is appearing, yet non-graspable. That's a metaphor for appearing would be perception. Non-graspability would be letting go. Now you might say, dude, which is better? I don't know, which is better for you? Breathing in or breathing out? Well, duh, Lama Jigme, you need both or you're going to die. That's right. We need both inhalation and exhalation. And since inhalation is attached to our sympathetic nervous system where we perceive, and since exhalation is attached to or connected to our parasympathetic nervous system when we relax, we're wired to notice and relax in harmony with each inhalation and each exhalation. We need both. Just as a one-winged bird cannot take to the sky, no one can master the Buddha's path, no less be a happy, well-adjusted adult if they are only noticing or only letting go. We are wired to do both. We evolved to do both. So think for a moment about your greatest flaw. It is profound, yet fleetingly non-graspable. Think about so it still has an effect in your life, even though momentarily at times it seems intangible. Now reverse that. Think about your greatest strength. It is profound yet void. We can notice it as we breathe in. It feels intangible as we breathe out. The more you use it, the more it produces. The more you talk of it, the less you understand. Go to the Tao Te Ching or the Taoist forum on Reddit, and you'll see a bunch of cranky motherfuckers attacking each other about what's the preferred translation of the Tao Te Ching. All the while forgetting about simplicity and patience and compassion. A glib tongue does not ensure a wise mind or a kind heart. The 5th chapter of the Tao Te Ching concludes with a very concise admonition. Hold on to the center. Doesn't say hold on to your dreams. Doesn't say hold on to your goals. Doesn't say hold on to your schwans, although that's what we pretty much did through junior high. It doesn't say hold on to your lover or hold on to your pet. It says hold on to your center. What does that mean? As we breathe in, we are wired to notice all manner of things. Sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like, including the full spectrum of human emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. The external and the internal, the physical and the mental, the pleasurable and the painful, the interesting and the boring, the glorious and grotesque. Things move all the time. Seasons change. The moon waxes and wanes. The sun rises and sets. Our chest swells and sinks. Things are in constant flux. What can we rely on? We can rely on our ability to notice and relax. Centering does not mean we no longer perceive stressors. It means we are making peace with them. Having completed the opening lesson of this evening's live stream, let us now shift gears. It is Luke Skywalker Friday evening. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi after about 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is the Dzogchen Semde Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I have harnessed my autistic special interests as well as my ADHD hyperfocus to spend about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that I can become your personal, nerdy, neurodivergent guide to nirvana. Welcome, my friends, to meditate like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. For the remainder of this evening's live stream, let us simply sit and breathe and watch and rest. We are already wired by evolution to notice every time we breathe in and to relax or release every time we breathe out. Every moment we're faced with a micro decision. Do we actively compete against our own autonomic nervous system, becoming more anxious and more aggressive and more sad and more tired? Or do we passively cooperate with our autonomic nervous system? After a lifetime of conditioning to be controlling, how do we do that? Passively cooperating with our autonomic nervous system is as easy as silently and mentally reciting the verb watch each time we feel our chest swell with air, and silently and mentally reciting the verb rest each time we feel our chest kind of sink as we exhale. That's all you got to do. Now, you're not in this alone. When you have a question about Buddhist philosophy or meditation, do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window, for I tend to check for questions intermittently. Checking for questions right now. I'm going to say hi to this person. And I'm going to adjust my legs. Here's my rule of thumb. If you, like me, are prone to arthritis, then please give yourself permission to gently adjust your legs every 15 minutes or so. There's nothing wrong at all about compassionately using our talents to serve others. There is a fly in the ointment, however. When using our talents becomes the thing by which we judge ourselves, then it becomes a thorn in our side. And so one of the goals of the author of the Tao Te Ching is to help us to overcome that. And instead of whipping ourselves into a frenzy with the noblest of aspirations, no less the most venal, to just flow from centered spontaneity. We've evolved instincts to help us pull us towards that which will aid in survival and pull us away from that which will undermine survival. So we don't have to worry about that. We are not moths. We will not tool off into the sunset towards an open flame. Flow from centered spontaneity as a fringe benefit of mindfulness and meditation. And fulfillment will turn up on its own. Kind of like a kitty. Kitty cats are good coaches. They teach us about boundaries. You try to give a kitty cat love and it's not ready, either you will chase it around the house until you pass out, or it will go full coleslaw shredder on you. But wait long enough, and when kitty decides they're ready, they'll approach you for affection. Using our talents, finding fulfillment can be somewhat similar. The folks on the path of yang cannot wait to coerce you with fear. The folks on the path of yin don't want to coerce you. They want to be laid back. They see no need to frighten you. Surround yourselves with people who are not trying to frighten you. Folks on the path of yang are rigid. Folks on the path of yin are flexible. Don't be like a Dorothy Umbridge. Be like a Dumbledore. Don't be like the big Lebowski. Be like the dude. Consider, if you will, Buddhist teachers. Some who are very yang will say you are only allowed one meal a day. And some who are yin will say, hey, when you are hungry, eat. When you are weary, rest. Shakespeare wrote that the mind can make a hell out of a heaven or a heaven out of a hell. There are always going to be Dorothy Umbridges and Dumbledores. The teachers who are yang will tell you that meditation is an ordeal to be endured. Teachers on the path of yin will say, dude, meditation is a blissful delight. It's a mental margarita to be enjoyed, to be savored. Teachers on the path of yang will say, stop your mind from moving. Teachers on the path of yin will say, sit back and enjoy the show. If when you're meditating, you get bored, do not scold yourself. Do not repress the boredom. Watch it and relax into it. I've made many, many, many mistakes on the spiritual path so that you will not have to. When I first started off, I was taught wish fulfillment technologies based on recitations and supplications. They worked. They came at a terrible price. They cost time, they cost energy, and they locked me into the duality of pushing and pulling. The irony is that when I stopped emphasizing wish fulfillment and just began practicing the non-dual arts of watching and resting, the needs took care of themselves much more efficiently and with much better timing than ever I could have contrived through various and sundry forms of manifesting. Upon the path of yang, they tell you, oh, you need a teacher. Upon the path of yin, they teach you, hey, your capacity to notice and relax are your ultimate teacher. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist meditation or Buddhist or Taoist meditation or philosophy, do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window. You have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 11 hours, I would very much like to return to lead tomorrow's dawn meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.